You've heard and likely sang the song many times, at least once each year. Every New Year's, at the stroke of midnight, we hear the beginning notes of the famous song Auld Lang Syne. It is a bittersweet song that rings out the old and welcomes in the new year. But what does Auld Lang Syne mean? Why is it such a fixture in our New Year's celebration? And where does the song come from? Answers straight ahead. This is your host, Stephen Carter, and I welcome you to this episode of History of Everyday Sayings. This show is for you if you're a logophile, meaning, of course, a lover of words, a writer, a speaker, a philomath, or you're simply someone who loves history tidbits you can use to impress friends and family. Speaking of impressions, we all have impressions of what our new year is going to be like. And of course, it is a New Year's tradition. At the stroke of midnight, we hear the familiar beginning musical notes of Auld Lang Syne. When we hear those notes and beginning words to the song, we know with certainty a new year is officially here. Recall the words, "Should old acquaintance be forgot and never brought to mind? Should old acquaintance be forgot and days of Auld Lang Syne?" For Auld Lang Syne, my dear, for Auld Lang Syne, we'll take a cup of kindness yet for Auld Lang Syne. You know, or you've heard the first four opening lines of the song and the four lines of the chorus, but have you ever heard, let alone remember, the next 9 verses of the song? Yes, this song has 9 verses. What exactly does Auld Lang Syne mean? And the spelling? AULDLANGSYAN. What exactly does that mean? According to dictionary.com, the words Auld Lang Syne literally mean old long since. In practice, it means old times, especially times fondly remembered, as well as old or forgotten friendships. It's from the Scots language, and the expression, well, that was first recorded somewhere between 1660 and 1680. Let's take a short sidetrack here. The Scots language that gives us the phrase Auld Lang Syne is not Scottish Gaelic. It is the version of Old English that became known as Scottis, Scottis. And indeed, Scottish Gaelic had pretty well died out by the 13th century. Returning to the poem, the famous poet Robert Burns authored most of the poem we now know as Auld Lang Syne in 1788, and it was published in 1796. Burns used a fragment of an old Scottish folk song and added lyrics to flesh out the complete poem. But how did Auld Lang Syne become the New Year's song, the New Year's anthem? We can thank the famous band leader Guy Lombardo. Lombardo, known as Mr. New Year's Eve, and his band, the Royal Canadians, started their New Year's Eve radio broadcasts in 1929, and later when television became popular, he continued his New Year's broadcasts on TV until 1976. At the stroke of midnight, the band's signature song was Auld Lang Syne. The song became and remains the theme song for New Year's celebrations throughout most of the English-speaking world. Few people know the origins of this poem and song, but you can now count yourself among the elite of people who do. If you're curious about exploring more about this poem and the ultimate song, you'll find the references I used for this episode in the show notes. For more amazing history of everyday sayings, tasty auditory tidbits you can use to amaze friends and family. Please do subscribe or follow for free where you get your podcasts. If you would like to comment on this or any other episode, email me at cartermethod@gmail.com. Thank you for listening. Until our next visit, your host here, Stephen Carter, and I wish you and your loved ones blessings in abundance.